100 Reasons to Avoid the Student Loan Program. Retirement savings compromised. When student loan borrowers become seniors, graduates, and co-signers, they can be forced into poverty during retirement. Borrowers will have difficulty saving up for retirement until U.S. monetary policy changes and pensions are born again. In a conflict of interest, investment rating agencies provide investment information to borrowers for their 401k assets, yet work for the companies whose financial products they rate. Now pensions are missing. Living just enough for Brunner. Student loans are so important that collection continues until death, and constitutional rights have been erased from them. Our brightest minds have been given no guidance on how to maintain the middle class without constitutional protections. Borrowers live on stagnant wages from paycheck to paycheck for life to meet the Brunner standard of living, the hardship test to get the constitutional protection of a fresh start. Clinical depression management. The student loan program is a rigged hunger game without constitutional protections. Did American dreams make it difficult to imagine a better future for America and graduates? Dreams require motivation and funding. Stress and anxiety kill dreams. They destroy the muse. The American mind must be able to imagine a better future to create a better future. Because of the unconstitutional stress, the student loan product tarnishes the American brand and injures the American mind unnecessarily and against warnings. Stress creates the welfare mentality that depresses physical health over 10 years. Depression breaks the weak bonds that hold borrowers to their neighbors. Other bills kill. Americans always experience new, expensive, must-have inventions: home computers, cell phones, medicine, some of which become mandatory. Since today's graduates didn't inherit the constitutional protection against student loan debt, they become the most indebted graduating class ever. Borrowers must pay a cost for each childbirth experience that is the highest cost in the world. Bucket list delay. Working borrowers are at work for half of all their waking hours. Borrowers' bucket lists: artist, stand-up comic, actor, travel, chef, build for the first 10 years after graduation, the most naturally energetic years of their lives. When borrowers reach for the higher hanging fruit, they carry a heavy burden that students in higher ranked education systems do not. Borrowers must first jump the hurdle of the financial hardship test to get a fresh start, to get rid of the heavy weight on their dreams. They get credit cards instead. Science and math bankruptcy. Scientists challenge the prejudice within themselves at great risk to themselves, like Benjamin Franklin did. We benefit. Artisans inspire the scientists and mathematicians to dream and figure things out. Graduates need a diversified education portfolio like a rotated crop, the department's prime directive. Otherwise, Americans will skew their genes towards science and math to ensure the return on investment, which would tarnish the American brand. Majors are already decided for borrowers. To ensure a return on investment, borrowers have to major in the same subjects reported to be lucrative. Borrowers who are uniquely qualified for the lucrative career major are expected to keep it lucrative during a glut. Failing colleges get protection, but not borrowers. Colleges fall because people fall, regardless of specialty or trade. The Department of Education protects them. Borrowers who don't graduate face a long and hard fight to pay off student loan debt, even when it is because the college fell. The future of jobs and education. The job market of the future will consist of those jobs that artificial intelligence cannot perform. Money worshippers hide the problem of education funding allocations to profit off student loans. Instead, in this new university welfare state, students need loans. Meanwhile, borrowers must sacrifice and fight to get their children a safe and decent pre-K through 12 education while saving for their children's college education. Reliable future expenses for borrowers. Saving for a 10% mortgage down payment is necessary to keep housing stable. After student loans are paid off in 10 years, graduates must replace expected big ticket items: wardrobe, mattress, car, furniture, computer. This causes debt addiction. Borrowers can face around $7,000 per live childbirth after their insurance company contributes. Borrowers face child safety and child support expenses for 18 years. If a clever and driven borrower rents a pit stop home and works two jobs, the borrower's loneliness makes the bucket list expense deferral worse. Student borrowers are beasts of burden given their future expenses. American adulthood licensing and contracts. American adulthood occurs at the age of sufficient licensing to fully function to survive independently of caregivers. Career oriented licenses have a really high cost. The other measure of adulthood is a contract for everything, including water. Cash is freedom in the American Hunger Games. Student loan borrowers are cash poor in college, thus the need for the loans, and cash poor while paying off the loans for years. 72.3% of borrowers. The temptation of outliers. Borrowers are incentivized by outliers to borrow because they share ambition with outliers. Borrowers live vicariously through outliers because they stay cash strapped during repayment. High school graduate would not be criticized for living a dream, creating an outlier moment on credit, or pursuing a bucket list while broke. Borrowers mix American ambition with deferred bucket lists. Borrowers are vulnerable while nursing a mortgage. In the student loan forgiveness programs, student loans become like a mortgage because of added years of interest payments. Graduates need large amounts of cash right away to begin their adult lives and to take on the responsibilities of a home mortgage for a family of their own. Borrowers who also buy a house never feel a raise in salary. They are vulnerable to more debt, including medical debt. Graduate degree needed to compete for love, family, spouse, children, country, science, art. Graduates compete to the highest degree for the safety of a beautiful life. Hunger Games. Champions need stress free minds. The master's degree is the sweet spot for student loan marketing because of higher wage premiums. Adding new loans to undergraduate loans to get a master's degree is an act of desperation to get the highest wage premium. False job profits. Graduates can't trust magazines and blogs' predictions about future job prospects. Student loan marketers manipulate the predictions. Predictions cause gluts that wouldn't normally exist if borrowers didn't need a lucrative return on investment. Borrowers don't have enough financial flexibility to dodge a glut while in school and after graduation. Few locations have an employees market favorable to borrowers. Job glut. Restraint on job dreams. American champions used to be able to work to pay for college, including Ivy League schools. They care where they go to college. A borrower's spouse could get a dream job in a location that does not support the borrower's career and salary needed for repayment. Sibling rivalry strains the family where a parent could co sign for one child's dream but not the other's because of tuition inflation. No job security. After graduates invest in college and secure a lucrative job, they compete to prove to their employers that they have a greater ability to think analytically and a higher discipline to see an assignment through from beginning to end. Even a lucrative job can easily be lost over something stupid because of the employment contract, a virtue of the employer's market. And once borrowers outcompete their classmates and the unknowns for a job, they compete with coworkers to make the job they find secure for at least 10 years worth of recessions that explode out of bubbles, then combine. So, borrowers know they aren't gambling on job security when they borrow, a signal of desperation. Few recession proof jobs. There aren't enough recession proof lucrative jobs with upward mobility to cover the students who must borrow for tuition and expenses, over 70%. The stakes are even higher now for borrowers to make recession proof plans. The COVID induced moratorium on payments taught us that having no statute of limitations for so much debt destabilizes the economy by rocketing up the overall cost of the loan program. Even where a borrower manages to outcompete coworkers for recession proof job security, that industry must remain recession proof as measured on a global scale, even law firms and doctors' offices. True entrepreneurs need market-driven debt like corporations receive. True entrepreneurs are born, so they can't stop themselves from starting a business. Borrower entrepreneurs need to exchange the student loan for market-driven debt with full constitutional protections. Without the Constitution, borrowers receive false market debt, risk-free profits. Magazines damage college marketing. Magazines act as unofficial and unregulated ratings agencies and profilers for the student loan investment for borrowers. Schools market to borrowers in response to the ratings. Colleges and parents have responded with scandalous behavior. Borrowers must research program rankings, rankings related to their actual graduation rates and job placement opportunities, because the ratings are manipulated by the profiteers. Draconian forgiveness. American heroes who are not soldiers, teachers, doctors without borders, legal aid, etc., qualify for the department's student loan forgiveness program, unsafe and low pay. Loan forgiveness as an incentive to endure the student loan program for up to 10 years or more severely decreases overall safety and so fails. People fall. Containers that harness the higher cost of educating our poor and large, healthy middle class have been broken. The middle class is shrinking. Borrowers get gray hair. Borrowers use the best years of their lives and their lowest wages to repay student loans to profiteers. Borrowers who pile graduate school debt on top of undergraduate debt, then earn an average salary, will have gray hair before they fully repay their student loans. Borrowers who attempt a community service job after graduating from an Ivy League school with student loans will have gray hair before they fully amortize the loan, because these borrowers will probably include private loans with no forgiveness program. Borrowers who change their careers and obtain new loans after they pay off the original career debt will have gray hair before they amortize the new loans. Need for psychiatric help. Foundations constantly bring experts and loan slaves together to talk about the student loan program instead of psychiatrists doing the job. Borrowers need constant mental health support. So do their psychiatrists who borrowed. Borrowers who fall or spiral down further financially under the weight of student loans need experts on unrelenting stress and pressure on our best and brightest. Bad gambling addiction. Americans are feeding a gambling addiction that is too big to fail and that is building up to $2 trillion in student loan debt within the next 10 years. The Education Department is addicted to fines and asset sales to manage bad debt, letting interest accrue on the bad student debt. The $1.7 trillion risk-free loan stake has no hedge. Like gamblers, ED does not provide enough information to help ED meet the prime directive: transparently get America educated. For-profit gamblers on risk-free student loans are out of control in a false market. No Constitution. Risk-free makes it an investment in the best and brightest, like slavery assets. Market falsity, not actually being risk-free, makes it a gamble. Before the moratorium on payments, America was duly warned by the International Monetary Fund and business leaders that this prolonged too-big-to-fail debt structure is more dangerous than ever. Great societal loss to lending addiction. A downward spiral presents symptoms of stepping backwards. Higher household debt, inflated prices, still rising tuition, perpetual political infighting, false markets, only being able to help one child get a college education, even by co-signing, high medical bills that cover medical school loan payments, etc. Compulsive gamblers keep gambling when they try to step back. The middle class and poor lose safety and further protections, legal representation, when they step back. To get educated, the poor and middle class borrow for stakes in America's Hunger Games because education funding is not a high priority funding. The COVID moratorium gave respect to knowing student loans were not the solution to veterans, the poor, and the middle class not being able to afford college. Wall Street lobbied for profitable solutions for getting educated that created a false market. Vampires feasted worldwide. Now, borrowers need a student loan borrower guild that helps pressure Congress to restore bankruptcy protection and a statute of limitations for a free market, and for peaceful borrower sway without a permanent feud, like indentured slavery abolitionists. America must have an educated populace for a free market.